build flows, we can prototype, we can test things that is faster for us. And I don't have to be a super tech person to do this. I can just be a UX designer and create pretty advanced things that I say matter, because I think it matters to us because for us the user matters a lot, and trying to create something that is very similar to what we vision for the user is important. So a little bit about NodeRED. A couple of you probably knows quite a lot about it. A couple of you maybe don't know anything about it, but it's an open source project, and you could contribute if you want to. You can contribute in many ways, but it started out it came out from the IBM Emerging Technologies Group, and was created by a guy called Nick O'Leary. And it was actually a result of realizing the need for something to make it easy for developers or non-developers to make things, even if it's for play or profit or serious or fun, professional or for hobbyists. Yeah. It can mean different things for different people. You see, it's a couple of stuff here, but it could mean that I would like to collect data from sensors connected to various things on the internet, trying to analyze this data, do something with it, manipulate it, and make something happen depending on what that data is. And it could mean using a wide range of various APIs that's on the internet, because it's highly changeable and you can do pretty much what you want to do with it. It depends on how much of a developer background you have. But it's a visual tool and it's browser based. You don't need any software for it. It says wiring the Internet of Things. And this is just an example of a couple of nodes. These are called nodes. And you create flows with the nodes and make something happen. It's open source, written in Node.js. You can run it on Raspberry Pi if you want to. You can stick it on a Raspberry Pi and hide it somewhere, and still access it and create pretty advanced flows for whatever purpose. In this case, I'm going to show it running on IBM Bluemix, because I'm using a couple of extra services that are only on IBM Bluemix at this time. And we also we use something that we call the Internet of Things Foundation, where we use Internet of Things Foundation as an MQTT broker. And in this case, I'm going to connect Arduino Yun. And a couple of sensors and things. So I'm going to get to the demo here. So this is what NodeRED looks like when you're logged in. You got a various of nodes here, which they are called. And in this case, this one runs on Bluemix, the IBM Bluemix platform. So there's a couple of extra here for actually hooking up Watson, the cognitive analytic parts of IBM. So you can do pretty cool stuff. But you can run this local on your machine, and there's a lot of still anything below here, I guess. Or, well, most of the stuff is still there. You can still do a lot. So I'm just going to show a very simple thing you can do. I'm dragging this node which is an inject node, which is basically, I would call it a button where you send some variable somewhere. And I'm just going to show it in the debugger menu here, which stuff shows here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so it's easier to see. So for example, I'm just going to send a string saying, hey, Foo Café. I don't know, whatever. Café? No, what is it? How do you spell it? Well, okay, it's whatever. Hey, Foo bar. All right, so I'm just going to connect it to here. Okay, turning this, oh sorry, need to deploy it. And then, right. Did I deploy it? There it is, deployed. I'm just pressing this and it says, hey, Foo bar. It's as easy as that. This is very basic. But this is pretty much how the whole thing works. You drag your nodes there, you connect them, and you do something inside these nodes. There's a lot of things you can do here. So I'm going to delete this, and I have prepared some stuff in the oven, sort of. And this is a flow, which we call them. A flow that I'm actually just telling this one to start the flow. I could initialize it and have an interval of hours or something every 2 hours or whatever. But in this case, I'm just going to press this button, and I'm using this is a CSV file that is updated on the United States Geological Survey every hour, and I am using a CSV node to parse this in a manner that I want, the stuff I want out on the CSV, more or less. So I'm going to check it here again. So I want time, latitude, longitude, depth, magnitude type. And depending on this, I want something to happen. Well, actually here I'm just changing the time. But here I have some very simple logic for this. It checks what the magnitude is. And if it's above or the same as 7, you do an output on the output number 1, 2, or 3, depending on how high or low they are. And this is a very large earthquake. I wanted to show some text with this. And I incorporate the time, the place, and the magnitude, and the link, and so on. So, where is the... Oops. What did I do? What happened? It's difficult to do the same thing at the same time.
I think it's hidden to the right.
Yeah, that's what I think as well.
There, yeah.
There it is. Okay. So just clear the debugger and I'll inject this. And it parses the CSV and it shows me a couple of the earthquakes. Nothing severe at all. Really small earthquakes, and we should be happy about that. And there's nothing near Sweden, of course. Never is. There was actually an earthquake not so long ago. A couple of, was it 3 on the Richter scale somewhere up in the country?
Yeah, some chairs ticked over.
No, chairs. No, that was 10 years ago. You're talking about the other large earthquake that we actually had. So I don't know. What's the point of this? Well, I could try an imaginary flow here, and let's say I wanted to be the first person tweeting about a really large earthquake, because that makes me feel really good and be really cool and shit on the internet. So, okay, I think there is some kind of a Twitter node here. Let's just add this. So if there is a large earthquake, I'm just gonna tweet this. And I'm gonna authenticate my Twitter account. Authorize it. And I guess that should be good. Add. Okay. Close this. Okay, so now, if there for some reason was an earthquake above 7 or the same as 7, I would be tweeting.
Change the value.
But I could just use a large earthquake, I guess.
Large quake.
Yeah, maybe let's call this medium quake then. All right. Deploy it. What is this anyway? Oh, sorry.
I think you should change the name of the bottom one to small quake.
Yeah, I think it's, well, what do we have here? 2.9. All right. Let's say 2 then. I guess I should be tweeting that then. Deploy. So if everything works well, you should be tweeting this. I guess. Something wrong? Forbidden?
Oh.
Okay, whatever. I don't know, let's just delete this. I guess that would be enough. What do you think? I don't know. Pretty sure I had this working some other day. You don't think?
Depends on how large the payload is.
So you need another one, tweetable quake.
Was it this one?
Check your Twitter. I mean,
122, 114, 119. It's okay.
Oh shit! It's a small earthquake.
your friends will say you're crazy.
Yeah, they said, what? Who cares? Who gives a shit? Okay, so yeah, you get the idea. So an easy way to create flows with, this was just a simple CSV from United States Geological Survey. All right, so I have another one here that's a little bit more interesting, perhaps. So I'm going to put this into more of a scenario. My neck is hurting really bad right now. Okay. So I have this Arduino Yun here, which is connected to my phone, because I never trust networks, Wi-Fi networks, to be reliable or work. My phone usually works a lot better. And so, let's zoom in a little bit here. I'm using, in this case, I'm using the IBM's IoT Connect. Just basically, I just add the device number here, which is the MAC address for the network interface, and everything should be good. It should be telling me temperature, humidity from the sensor here. So we had a, I don't know if you know, there was a hackathon this weekend. Anyone know about? Yeah, right. And a couple of guys were working on a project there which was about knowing whether packets or containers with medicine in has expired, or not expired, but expired due to too high temperature, because some medicine is really sensitive. It cannot go beyond a certain temperature because then it's ruined. So, for example, if we wanted to try something similar and pretend that we have a package with a temperature, it could be Bluetooth, it could probably be the U-Blocks mini chips on a medicine packaging. So let's say the temperature goes beyond the temperature it's allowed to be, and someone needs to be notified about this, and we want to try this in a kind of a what would you like to call? What do you call it? Like a what do you call it? A user play test role, where we actually try the whole scenario with an actual user, and something that is similar to a package with medicine in a car or somewhere. And we want to try, because this is about user experience, and you want to try something as close to reality as possible with the user, with the actual users, and then we could, create this simple flow, and we could actually try this. So, for example, maybe this is the driver of the actual truck that needs to know that, I don't know, maybe he went to the toilet and someone turned off the cooling system on his truck. So maybe he could get a warning on his phone. So basically this just sends JSON package, and I want to limit the amounts of messages here because I don't have enough. I don't think I have unlimited amounts of SMS text messages that I can use with a service called Twilio. Have you heard about Twilio? Twilio is one of the world's largest phone messaging services, basically. I think if you get a message from, what is it? I guess if you register on Netflix or some large other similar corporations, and they would send an SMS or a text message to you, they would probably be using Twilio, the Twilio API. So it's pretty easy. You go to Twilio and you register, and you can get your phone number. You can get a free. This is actually a free text sending phone number registered in the UK. Doesn't cost me anything, and I can send some text messages from it. So I have set this to if it's above 30 degrees. In this is a switch node. Basically, I check the incoming variable and see if it's above 30, and then it just sends the message further on in the flow. Beer on the floor. And so this is an temperature. You have warm hands, I have cold hands.
The temperature is too high.
Oh, I got an SMS, blah, blah, blah. The temperature is too high. Pretty easy. But what I didn't tell you is that we're actually using another service here called, it's Watson's text-to-speech analyzer, or converts text to speech. And then I'm using Lawrence play audio node here that he developed. It's pretty easy to.
The temperature is too high.
Yeah.
What's the?
You have to cool down. So you can create your own nodes and add them, which Lawrence did, and this just plays the incoming text, more or less, in this chain here. So I've tested a use case scenario more or less here. And this didn't take very long. I don't know, an hour or something. Maybe 2. Sorry?
The other tags,
The other tags?
The other, I mean, the graph thing.
The other graph thing. This?
Yeah.
You want to show this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is basically showing the graph. When I
Never mind that.
showing the graph of the sensor, the temperature and the humidity on my sensor here on the IBM's Internet of Things Foundation, and yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I didn't really want to show that. It was just something we used to see if it's actually sending any information, but it is. So yeah. So from my perspective, being able to set this up in a couple of hours, and we could have a user play real user in the real user case scenario, sort of, and see how it would work. Now this isn't very nice to look at, but you could put it in some a little bit more nice container, of course. So I think that's basically it from me. Yeah. Why is it not going down? So, what else? We have some other stuff down here. This is just some other easy ways of sending MQTT messages to my Arduino here. I can bus it. I can play around with the servo. This could be, I guess, something that turns the cooling machine back on again. And I would say that's it for me, actually. More or less showing hands-on what you can do with the NodeRED.